So things to expect to come on a Dall sheep / caribou hunt in Alaska. It is a backpack hunt. You are going to put some miles on your feet. You know, you want to make sure you're in shape. The best shape isn't good enough in a lot of ways. You know, you gotta prepare, get yourself set up properly, because it really, there's a lot of stuff on the market you don't need, but there's some things that really make life easier when you're doing a backpack hunt. And you get to cover some ground and get into some places that you can't get any kind of vehicle into. And so you get to, you know, experience a truly wild fair chase hunt, and it's raw. It's tough. It's not easy. You're gonna get blisters. You're gonna do a lot of sweating, and you're gonna want to go home at times. But you know, you don't give up, and you keep a positive attitude, and you'll have a great experience.
You hear stories of people going on sheep hunts and tagging out the first day, and you hear people there that are there 3 weeks and struggle to find rams. But that's Alaska, and that's hunting, and that's kind of what makes it fun. You know, it wouldn't be as fun as if you knew you're guaranteed to kind of harvest and shoot something. Kind of the fun is the challenge of pursuing the animal and the hunt in itself. In Alaska, that things can change so fast. You can go from seeing no animals to having animals there in your camp when you wake up.
Having arrived in base camp 2 days prior to opening day, Dwayne and Jared have glassed up a couple rams that warrant a closer look. The plan is to take 3 days' rations and head for higher ground in hopes of finding a legal ram. Run and gun is the preferred method for Dwayne in this country. When the sheep gods throw a bone your way, you better act quick. With good weather in the forecast and with each step getting farther into sheep country, spirits are high. When it comes to Dall sheep hunting in Alaska, there's very seldom low-hanging fruit. Success begins with getting as far off the beaten path as possible. Generally speaking, the harder an area is to access, the better the hunting will be.
We spent all day hiking through the brush in the bottom, and kind of got up on a ridge, beamed them where we could glass them and kind of judge them. And they were sitting out on a knob, just feeding and sleeping. And we looked at them pretty good. None of them were full curl. One could possibly be of age. We decided to pass them up and keep looking. We were here for, you know, we had lots of days left, and so we decided to go up and over back into a couple bowls and canyon and look for some other rams.
The total gain in elevation for day one is 3,600 feet. That's the equivalent of 300 flights of stairs or 3.5 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other. Physically demanding comes with the territory. Aside from burning lungs and sore legs, you better know how to shoot if you want to hunt in Alaska. In preparation for this hunt, Jared routinely hiked the backcountry of Wyoming, simulating potential shooting scenarios that he might encounter. Prone, kneeling, sitting, standing. Shooting with an elevated heart rate, shooting in the wind, uphill, downhill, you name it. The worst time to take a practice shot is when you need a kill shot. When the best of the West continues, it's onward and upward. The Best of the West is brought to you by Hornady. Accurate, deadly, dependable. Zeiss spotting scopes and range-finding binoculars. Huntin' Fool. The Best of the West shooting systems. Defiance Custom Actions. The Wild Sheep Foundation. Huskama Optics and LongRangeStore.com. The last frontier should be first on your bucket list if you haven't had the privilege of hunting in Alaska already. Some of the best footage ever produced on the Best of the West has come from this hunter's paradise. If it's big bears that do it for you, we've seen our fair share of Bruins hit the dirt. Always a fan favorite, bear hunting in Alaska requires a fair amount of patience. Locating bears from vantage points and then stalking in for the shot has proven lethal time and time again. Pro staff member Dan Adler got his first grizzly after a perfectly executed stalk to within 300 yards.
Thank you, Will.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilderness Enterprises, and what an awesome way to finish the day in Alaska.
Moose hunting in Alaska is iconic, but once the moose is on the ground, it feels more psychotic than iconic. No 4K camera or IMAX theater can do justice of what it's like to walk up on an Alaskan moose. The average moose pack-out involves a minimum of 8 loads of well over 100 pounds. A lot like property investments, location is everything.
A great 3 shots.
The state of Alaska is unique in that a big game tag may be used for another species of equal or lesser value. So if you're in pursuit of a grizzly bear and come across a ram, you can dump it and put your tag on that instead. Same thing for moose or caribou. If the opportunity presents itself, you can turn a bear hunt into a caribou hunt as fast as you can dial your turret. You never know what's around the corner when hunting in Alaska. Just like the weather, your luck could also change in an instant.
Alaska to me is a whole new world when it comes to hunting. You have about the most bipolar weather you possibly could have. You have some of the most extreme hiking. I mean, a lot of times when on this sheep hunt, you're looking straight down and one false move and you're at the bottom of that drainage. The terrain's very deceiving. What you think might take an hour to hike takes you triple that at least. Last year I was able to pick up a last-minute cancellation Dall sheep hunt, and we got up to Alaska, did quite a bit of hunting, a lot of hiking. I thought it was going to happen at a lot of points where I was going to harvest a ram, but it didn't turn out that way. Glassed a lot of sheep, a lot of rams that were real close to legal, but we just couldn't make them legal and had to pass, and that's sheep hunting. It was hard coming home empty-handed.
Having felt firsthand just how heavy an empty pack can feel, Jared is determined to come off the mountain with more than just memories this year. Having scouted this area prior to opening day, Dwayne knows this area has legal rams in it. It's just a matter of running one down before the clock runs out.
So being a pilot and the guide outfitter, it's awesome. You know, I get to do both, and I just have to be able to balance both a little better sometimes. You know, when I'm packing out a big load of meat and it's been a couple days, I'm looking forward to getting in the plane and running around for a little while. But when I'm in the plane running around for a couple days, I'm looking forward to getting to go back in some of these little canyons or valleys and camp out and hang out with the clients or my packer guides. And you get to cover a lot of country with the airplane. And then you get to go see how big it really is when you put your feet on the ground. But it's pretty awesome.
With only a few scattered groups of caribou visible, the guys will have to wait for first light to see what else is on the horizon. Having spent the morning glassing from Spike Camp with nothing to show for it, it's time to pack up and head for higher ground. When the best of the West continues, it's time for some run and gun. Keep it right here on your Long Range Hunting Authority. Over the next 2 days, Jared and Dwayne would search high and low for a legal ram, gaining hundreds of feet in elevation each day in hopes that the next valley might hold a mature ram. With only sub-legal rams and young caribou bulls to show for their efforts, now Jared and Dwayne need to decide whether to continue to pound it out here in hopes of finding a full curl ram, or head back to base camp and fly into another area and see what happens there. Alaska Fish and Game requires all hunters moving camps by plane to wait until 3 a.m. the following day to resume their hunt. Running low on food, the plan is to return to base camp and then make a plan from there.
We saw a few younger caribou, nothing that I wanted to take. They still had a lot of life left in them and growing to do. Day 4, we spotted a good caribou, real good caribou, that I told Dwayne that I would take a shot at him. Unfortunately, we ran out of daylight time that day, and I could have taken a shot and got him down, but we really didn't want to be gutting and skinning in pitch black, especially because we saw a grizzly bear in that drainage earlier the day before. We elected to kind of set up the tent and see if we could spot him in the morning, and that's what we ended up doing. We set up the Stone Glacier tent and got our sleeping bags out and woke up the next morning and did a lot of glassing, and we couldn't find the caribou we were going after that we saw the night before. So we were kind of getting our packs ready to kind of do another trek of hiking, and our camera guy was actually the one that spotted the caribou off to the left side of camp there, kind of on a hillside there, and I ranged him at a little over 400 yards. Got down in prone position to take a shot at him. And so I got down in prone and I was waiting for him to kind of come down and off a skyline, and he did. He was moving real quick, and it was a difficult shot, and I didn't want to shoot him moving when he was moving that quick. And then he kind of presented a shot straight. He was facing straight at me, and you know, I've never taken a shot right there in the front chest, and I wasn't comfortable taking that shot. And I just sat there again waiting for him to present a kind of a broadside shot. And he did for about half a second, and then he kind of picked up the pace again and walked off and walked out of the distance there where we couldn't see him, and walked over a hill. And he was moving pretty quick, and so we knew we had to move really quick. We grabbed kind of what was everything that was real close to us nearby and took off after him. And we were moving pretty quick. It was about as fast as you can go without being on a sprint. You got to be careful moving real fast in Alaska, or you end up twisting an ankle or twisting a knee or something, and that's the last thing you want to do is have to pay for a chopper to get you out of here. And so we couldn't find that caribou. Kind of just kept on slowly hiking along and hiking down the drainage, and we ended up spotting him with 2 other younger bulls down in the creek bottom, or the drainage bottom there. Ranged him at 408 yards, but it was a pretty steep angle, so we had to compensate for the angle. I think it was 390 is what we ended up dialing my turret to. It was a tough shot. We were kind of shooting on a hillside that was real steep. Here in Alaska, you have to be ready to make a difficult shot. That's the difference between a successful hunt and an unsuccessful hunt. I was real happy that I practiced these types of shots before I came to Alaska. You know, I was hiking some hills and getting my heart rate up and shooting, sitting down, kneeling off of different positions. And fortunately there was kind of a mound and a rock there where I could rest my bipod on. And once I got comfortable, I got the green light from Dwayne and the camera guy that they were on them and ready for me to shoot.
The Best of the West is brought to you by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Zeiss spotting scopes and range-finding binoculars. Huntin' Fool. The Best of the West shooting systems. Defiance Custom Actions. The Wild Sheep Foundation. Huskama Optics and LongRangeStore.com. For information about hunting with Magnuson Alaskan Outfitters, please contact Dwayne at 907-382-6717 or online at huntmao.com. For more information about the products and gear used on today's show, please visit LongRangeStore.com or call 1-866-754-7618.
Dwayne gave me the green light to shoot, and I shot. and noticed he kind of had the wobbly legs, and I thought I better shoot him again and racked another one in there and shot, and he went straight down.
Nice shot.
Caribou have always been on my bucket list for sure, and we weren't planning on shooting a caribou. We were planning on shooting a Dall sheep, but we ended up coming home with a caribou, and I was more than happy with that.
Job.
That's kind of what hunting's about. It's about just being out there with the people you do enjoy being out there with, and it worked out good where I came home with the trophy to put on the wall.
Right by the creek, in the grass. And more importantly, it's on the way out. Makes for an easier tag. I was worried if we caught him on the hill and we shot him up here, he would tumble. Yeah. I was going to tell you to wait till he gets to the bottom.
This hunt has been kind of a roller coaster of emotions. You know, you go from thinking you might shoot that sheep to now this sheep hunt's over and we're hunting caribou, and now you're happy because you harvested a caribou, you crossed a bucket list animal off, and you get to try some meat that you never tried before. And now that the animal's on the ground, and then the work begins, and then it's kind of a bitter moment again when you're hiking out of that steep country and terrain with a heavy pack on. Thank you, Dwayne. This is a childhood dream that I've always wanted to do.
Congratulations, that was nice shooting. Yeah, I've been looking for sheep for a few days and seen a couple decent caribou, and then this guy popped up, so we made a decision last night. If we woke up and didn't see any sheep, he was still around, we were gonna take a crack at him and switch sides of the valley, but he was still around, so there it is. Worked good. Now the real work begins.
Right. Alaska is very challenging, but I'm all ready to do another hunt. You know, I'm excited to come back. Hopefully I can get a Dall on the next go around, and we'll see what happens. You never know in Alaska.
All right, so yeah, we got a caribou down, and that was good. That was good news. The bad news is now we got a bunch of meat we got to pack out, but we got it all butchered up, and that afternoon, late afternoon, evening, we got our camp all situated and packed up, caribou all situated and packed up, and started heading out the canyon. And it ended up taking us, it was showing about 4 miles directly to our spike camp, but we had to parallel it for at least 3 or 4 miles down this creek to come out this canyon. Ended up being almost 10 miles, probably about 9.5 to 10 miles hiking with the caribou. It ended up, we spent the night a little over halfway down, right before we dropped into this steep part of the canyon and a lot of brush. We decided to just spend the night. We cooked some caribou tenderloin and backstraps and relaxed on the river. It was a beautiful evening with the stars came out and clear skies, nice weather. We actually got a frost that night. And next day we just kind of took our time. It was hot, buggy, and through a lot of brush and over a ridge back down to our camp, but made it to camp like about, I think it was right around 6 at night. And we were pretty whooped, sore feet, wet feet. You know, our shoulders and lower backs were raw from our heavy packs. And typically people can start to get kind of sideways on those kind of hikes, you know, because there's no trails out there and there's no planned route all the time. You're kind of improving sometimes to find the path of least resistance, you know, especially when you got 100-pound pack on or more, you know. You guys did really, really well. I would hunt with you guys anytime, and it was great. So you guys didn't get sideways, you guys manned up and powered through it, so thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Best of the West. Be sure to join us next time for more long-range hunting adventures.